Welcome to NFL Daily, where we are no longer in too many fantasy leagues. At least I'm not. I'm here in the Chris Wesseling podcast studio, surrounded by more gentlemen than I ever have been in this studio, and they are in too many fantasy leagues. Let's go right to left. They're all on NFL Fantasy Live or the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Laquan Jones, the newest member of the podcast. Of course, you know and love Patrick Claybon.
Well, maybe not the second one.
To my left. And we've got Michael F. Florio and Marcus Grant. It's fantasy day here at NFL Day.
Sweet.
Appreciate you guys.
Sweet. Always glad to be part of this.
My world's colliding. Like I love it. This is why we do this.
Yeah, and Patrick, you said you're only in like 4 leagues, but you guys are in double digits, and I had to get out of that life, and I'm just focusing it down to about 1 league right now. So you
this
guys,
one that we're going to draft today,
no,
right?
this one that we're going to draft, and for the listeners out there, we're just going to go through. This obviously not a team that we're going to track all season long, but I just wanted a way to talk about as many high leverage fantasy players as possible. So we're going to do a mock draft. We'll see how many picks that we get through.
Kept track of like their 4-man league last year.
I do not know. I do not know what happened to that league, but I guess we'll just get going with the number 1 overall pick. And I like staying in an order. And Laquan, it's the first time you've been in the studio.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
So you get the honors this time of the number 1 overall pick.
All right, some folks might think I'm going wide receiver, Jamar Chase, but I'm going to Bajan. It's Bajan, by the way. Bajan Robinson at the 101 spot. I mean, honestly, when Zach Robinson says he's flirting with the idea of getting Michael Penix a little bit more vertical downfield, and that's kind of like what we want. And Bijan, he's one of those guys going to be running those routes. He's going to be getting those dump offs, and we already know he's in that freak tier when we look at Saquon Barkley.
You just contradicted. You said Bajan at first.
Yeah,
Came back with
it is. You got to
Bajan.
stick with it.
You got to
Bajan.
stick with it.
It does not rhyme with a type of mustard.
Real ones, no. I've been trying to do this on Game Day View over the last few years with Bajan. Because he said it before previously, and I think this is the time to do it because I'm totally with you. If I had the number 1 overall pick,
All right.
I would have taken that too. Are you guys different in your leagues? This is a PPR league for everyone out there.
That should be the standard.
I'm taking Jamar Chase, but I have no quarrel at all with Bajan Robinson.
Yeah,
That's how I feel as well.
Yeah.
I don't get it because to me the wide receiver, like Jamar Chase, is amazing, but I don't see a huge difference between like wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 7 or 8. Whereas, I think you could make the case Bajan and Gibbs and maybe Saquon are just like a special group of human athletes.
Well, I think you include Jamar Chase in that particular tier where, all those guys are threats to score anytime they touch the ball, but Jamar specifically, due to the location of where he touches the ball,
Yeah.
is even more.
Bengals games are going to be first to 40 wins, too.
Okay, that's totally fair. I do like that it's year 2 of the Falcons, and I like the continuity that Jahmyr Gibbs has in Detroit. So I will take him with the 2nd pick in this draft.
Wow.
Wow.
Running back.
Wait, is that weird?
That's kind of weird. I haven't seen that. Wow.
Yeah, Chase not going in the first 2 picks is like, I've never seen that.
That's
Well,
awesome.
this is why I like to do this, and I'm the Stinky Davis who doesn't know exactly.
Who is stinky?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, who is that?
That's an old phrase of our friend Dave Hansis in the studio.
I'm totally going to start using that now.
Yes. I think it's useful to be another example, the poker player who doesn't exactly play by all the rules at the table and you mess with everyone else. And to me, it's not that logical that like Chase is just one because he wasn't that last year. He was just in the mix of all these great wide receivers. And to me, I guess I just would feel a little better of getting some great wide receivers on the way back. Whereas Gibbs, I mean, to me, he's just like everything you can possibly want in an NFL running back and on the absolute perfect team.
Yeah, on a season where running backs went nuclear, actually the top scorer at the running back position because Saquon sat out that last game was Jahmyr Gibbs. And you could, I know it's different and we haven't seen it, but these two going 1-2 makes perfect sense because they're both like in that contract year, if that's your thing. They're both explosive guys who've managed to be, healthy. So like, yeah, that it makes sense.
I enjoy it from how can you not be romantic about football? Like these 2 guys are going to be tied together their entire career, and for them to be like the first 2 running backs off the board is really cool to me.
Also, I've been owning this horrible tweet that I made after they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, where I said that Gibbs and Montgomery weren't really that big of an upgrade over Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift.
Oh, man.
Ever since, like every good primetime game, it's partly because I bring it up all the time. I should stop. So
I just retweeted that right now.
every single Lions game, I get some of those retweets. So I'm trying to like fix it. By the way, since I rarely get to do this with Bijan, last week I talked to Cowboys linebacker DeMarvion Overshown and asked him who's the best football player he ever won against, and he said hands down it's Bijan. Like,
Wow.
and explained all the reasons why. So
All right.
ball knowers know. You got the third pick,
A little
Pat.
bit of hook 'em there. I'm reading the disambiguation on Stinky Davis. It's a lot of folks.
Really?
Yeah, it's a clown from season 2 of episode of Garfield and Friends, a character in the Abbott and Costello show. I'm taking Jamar Chase because Stinky Davis. We've already talked about it. Yeah, this idea that Al Golden, it was all Lou's fault. Right. And Al Golden is going to come in and fix the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I don't necessarily believe that. Yeah, I don't think they might be as bad. They're still going to need to score a whole bunch. Saw him in the preseason for some reason. Turns out Jamar Chase is still good. I don't know that we need him trying to break tackles and dive for the pylon in the preseason. But yeah, I've seen enough. He's my pick here.
Yeah, and when I was trying to like push back a little against Chase, he's still the wide receiver 1. He's still like as safe as it could possibly be.
Yeah,
I just feel like there's less there. All right, go Mike.
I don't love this spot because like I think you guys took all the obvious top guys, but I'm gonna go. You have to pick here between your top wide receivers. I think I'm gonna go with CD Lamb. I think a lot of people would go Justin Jefferson, but I like Dak Prescott a little bit more than JJ McCarthy. But even more, I think we're gonna get CD Lamb in the slot a whole bunch, and that's what led to his breakout year 2 years ago. Last year, moved back more to the X. I just think with Pickens there, Lamb is gonna just go off.
I mean, look, man, I am all board for CD Lamb, but at that spot, I'd probably take Neighbors. Like I
do love
I think
Neighbors.
there's going to be video game numbers that we're seeing just with the Russell Wilson moonball. Like we're seeing him hit this to random guys that are probably, second and third string. Now, insert Malik Neighbors in that department. This is where you're going to get that freak tier level of guys of like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
I do think Neighbors is in that tier challenge.
Huge boost.
I guess I'm just not sold that the Russell Wilson moonball still exists on the same level it did years ago.
Fair.
I think
I'm not convinced that he's going to be the starter past
that part
September 25th or something, just throwing out a random
At some point, Jackson Dart's taken over that.
But that was one of the games that, one of the things that the Giants struggled with last season was that deep ball. And Flory, you hit it on the last episode, 20% completion rate on balls that are downfield last. Like that was completely strapped to bad quarterback play. Now you get the upgrades. You got Winston, you got Dart back there. Even if Russell's not cooking in December because the recipe's a little bit changed, which we know he gets cold around that time.
Because he's Uber eating.
I do think that, even if a Winston comes in, we see the spike weeks. He doubled Jerry Jeudy's production last season. So it's like he is in a safe spot right now where I think he's going to be cracking that top 3 of the fantasy wide receivers that we know and love.
I think Lamb is a little safer health-wise just because Neighbors freaks me out a little bit that he's always missing practice and he's a younger player. Like Lamb has proven it, year after year. I do think there might be a little more Jake Ferguson and George Pickens to divvy it up, but there's obviously like a bigger pie.
I love Neighbors. The only difference for me is you don't have to worry about a quarterback change. So
yes.
That's leads me to Lamb and Jefferson.
Tommy
over him,
Cutlets
but-
ain't coming in. Hey, big jersey.
Unless, God forbid, anything happens to that.
The 3 of them?
Because
Oh, God. Catastrophic.
Joe Milton's throwing that ball over the mountain, and I don't know if CD can climb it. All right, Marcus, you're up with the 5th pick, and we're not doing a snake draft,
Okay.
so we're going to go to Laquan after this. With the
Okay.
All right, that's cool. By the way, Stinky Davis also played 3 major league seasons between the Detroit Tigers and the St. Louis Browns. Career 264 hitter with 7 total.
Wait, for real?
For real.
What years?
Abbott and Costello, that is, that makes
You
sense.
think it's Abbott and Costello?
Well, that's where it must have started,
That
and then
seems right.
Garfield's like copying it, and it's just become.
It was a season 2 episode of Garfield and Friends.
He played for the Tigers in 1932
Really
and
good
33. Then he took a break and he played for the St. Louis Browns in 37.
Wow.
What do you think that break was?
I have no idea. He probably went to I don't know. Canada.
War?
They didn't- they didn't
that's
get
what I was. A
Yeah.
5-year
You know
break.
what?
It was literally about the same
You know
war.
what? War, exactly. All right, so here in the 5th spot, here's the beauty of being in this spot is that you guys have taken like a lot of good guys. So I can always be like, well, I took this guy because that's who was sort of left to me. So the onus is put on you all at this point. I'm gonna take Justin Jefferson here because I remember this time last year. we sort of downgraded Justin Jefferson. We're like, Sam Darnold's the starting quarterback. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Are we worried about it? And everybody sort of knocked him down draft boards. And then, it turns out that Justin Jefferson is still good, regardless of who the
Really
quarterback is. I mean, it definitely helped that Darnold had a career season, but Justin Jefferson was still really good. And so I think at this point, even with J.J. McCarthy, I think we still believe in Kevin O'Connell's offense. We believe in Justin Jefferson's talent. So I have zero problems taking him here.
I totally agree. And I feel like that's why him and Saquon, for instance, last year fell a little too far. To me, that's why I don't think there's some crazy difference between like him and Chase and Lamb and apparently Malik Neighbors, who's I guess is coming next.
He's coming next, but let me pivot a little bit because I don't know if you know, but Stafford's back. Like Puka Nacua will be my pick at the 106.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Because with Stafford back in pads,
You just spent like 5 minutes saying you take Neighbors.
but I'm just saying, I'm going to take Neighbors here, but I want to put Puka's name in that
Oh,
consideration.
okay.
Like, I might actually stare at Neighbors a little bit longer,
Okay.
but Puka's going to be in the peripherals. Like, I feel good taking him as well here because I do think with Stafford back,
So who are you taking?
I'm taking Puka Nacua.
Okay.
Man. Like,
Wait, so Puka's the pick.
Puka's
Puka's
the
the
pick. Puka is the pick, man. Superman is back. The shirt is on for a reason because Stafford's back in office. And I do feel like Puka, he's going to have those video number games. And I think when you add in the Devontae Adams, there's going to be a lot more scoring opportunities where I think the Puka Nacua touchdowns may go up as well.
All right, I'm up next, and I have to consider. This isn't a real team, so if it's just for value of where we're at, like Saquon as your RB2 is amazing, or at this spot, there's another receiver or three I love, but I think if it was my team, I would go with Saquon. I have the same concerns that anyone would of all that workload last year, and I don't think they're going to really let off from him, but I'm just hoping that he is like Derrick Henry, like built different, and that he's gonna be able to hold up and not expecting everything that happened a year ago to happen, that he's so safe because of the touchdowns that I don't think he should go any further in the first round.
Yeah, and even if you're projecting regression, like why you could project Jalen Hurts touchdown scoring regression, right? And then that sends Saquon's number up. Saquon carrying my team last year. I hate that I don't get a chance to have him in this hypothetical.
I mean, if these were teams, I would be the only man in America with Bijan and Gibbs and Saquon as my top two. running backs.
You know what? I'm sure at some point we'll get a tweet or something from somebody like, "Hey, so I got Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley and
Some keeper league.
Josh Jacobs. Like, what do I do?" Like, okay,
All right.
Trade.
We are up with the 8th pick, Patrick.
And it could be famous last words, and I know people would say it's a reach because Ashton Genty is in that top 10 for a lot of people, and I love the idea of linebackers in conflict. Brock Bowers, is Genty the priority? Like how that works out, but I got to take Derrick Henry once again. I know that there's a push from Keaton Mitchell. I'm glad to see him back and healthy. Yeah, there could be some 6-yard Lamar touchdown scrambles. But let's be honest. On 2nd and goal from the 2, it's probably going to 22, and forever, however long it lasts. I'll be the last one on.
Well, the other part of this though is the Ravens have never really forced the issue with Lamar Jackson at the goal line. I mean, he gets his rushing touchdowns, but usually he's running them in from 10, 12 yards out. When they get close, it's never been, hey, we're going to use you for a sneak, we're going to do a tush push. Yeah. And that was even before Derrick Henry. Now you've got this behemoth in the backfield. Why wouldn't you turn around and just hand it off to him from the 2 and let him do his work?
My biggest basic concern for him is it just was nice taking him the last few years when his stock was down. You know what I mean? Like you said, you'll be the last one.
Yeah, it was never down for me.
That would work. And my friend Evan Silva, he would always call him the big dog. Every year he would always be like, the big dog is underrated. And, that's proven to be right way more often than it's been wrong. But I just never loved drafting anyone who was getting taken a few rounds later.
He's still a second round.
Now in the middle or the second round.
Yeah.
Not if you're Patrick Claybon.
Yeah.
A very good piece of an offense that was almost too efficient last year. There were a lot of 14, 17, and 26-yard touchdowns where there could have been touchdowns left on the board for Derrick Henry. I'm fine having him, as I have been his entire career, by the way.
It is an awesome backfield, though. He has probably as good backups as he's ever had with Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell. All right, you're up, Florio.
I'm going to take the guy that we spent most of my time talking about last pick,
Yep.
Malik Neighbors. Like I agree with everything LQ said. The deep ball being there. I think talent-wise that he is on the same par as like a Chase Jefferson Lamb, and I think by the end of the year we'll put him in that group. But he has to get there first. But yeah, I mean, he was putting up historic numbers with the quarterbacks that he had last season. So like, I think there's 3 quarterbacks on the roster now better than anything throwing him the ball last year. So I'm all about Malik Neighbors in round 1.
That's a fair point. That like, even if they are switching, I'm taking Jackson Dart over what they had last year. And if Jameis gets in there, it should be a lot of fun. The back problem in camp has me like a little spooked, but I do like the camp reports before he got hurt where they said the target distribution in practice was like he had 27 targets. The next closest receiver had like 6.
I think Neighbors is one of those guys that just doesn't practice, you know? Like, it wouldn't surprise me if during the year, like Wednesdays is his scheduled off day. Like, he's just one of those guys.
That's why Rondell Robinson went in the 3rd round. He's getting pumped up in my chaos home league.
Your home league is super
Rondell
chaotic,
Robinson
man.
went in the 3rd round, Travis Hunter, 101. So yeah, that lets you know what I'm working.
I don't trust anything that's happening. Fantasy draft. Marcus, you're up.
All right, so there are a couple different names I am looking at here, but you know what? I'm gonna make the move. I'm gonna take Christian McCaffrey at this point. I feel like the attitude around him has changed because early in draft season, for those of us sickos who've been doing this for a few months, he was originally going like in the 3rd round, and everybody was like freaked out. And I think everybody started to remember that when he's healthy, he's still on the field for like 90% of the snaps. He is still the engine that kind of makes this offense go. The 2.5 games we saw him last year, he looked like Christian McCaffrey again. He got the ball a ton, he was productive, then he gets hurt, and we don't see him for the rest of the year. And so understanding that, yes, there is injury risk baked in, I think that's why he's going late 1st round now, early 2nd in some drafts. Remembering that, you know, the workhorse back is sort of an endangered species, but he is one of the ones that still exist in this league.
Is there any doubt about if he was healthy? Because to me, he's 101 again or 102. If you just told me he plays 17 games this year, to me, he's 101 or 102.
Yeah,
You still get those folks that don't want to feel that burn, though. Like a lot of fantasy rosters crumbled because he went off the board. One.
Take advantage, like Marcus just did.
I had 1 or 2 rosters last year where I was just sitting around waiting, and I was trying to piece it together, and it wasn't fun, but like when he was there, it was everything I wanted it to be.
This guy's averaging like 2 different injuries per season at this point.
The most interesting fantasy career ever, I think, because like there's like 3 or 4 years where if you didn't have CMC, it was like good luck winning your league, and then like 3 years where if you had him, it was like it's over for you. Like,
this feels like maybe the one last great year for him.
Yeah, he still plays for a coach that literally forced him the ball 7 times in a goal-to-goal situation.
Trying to get him a touchdown.
Right. Absolutely meaningless streak.
Nothing.
All right, Laquan, you are up with what is now the 11th pick.
Now, this might surprise these two over here, but I'm going to go Brian Thomas Jr. here. Now, I talked to Mio O'Brien lately on my last pod that I had over there on FTN Fantasy where we were talking about the function, the identity of this Jaguars offense, and it's Brian Thomas Jr. They're going to feed him the ball. The volume's going to be there for him, and I understand that like folks are like, well, me as the Trevor Mid-Lawrence hater here, but I do think that it's going to come down to like Trevor Mid-Lawrence needs to step up and get rid of the mid and the middle name and be able to get the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. So I'm hoping that this target share is in that 25% range, okay? But Trevor Mid-Lawrence, get on track, buddy. We need these fantasy.
Can he get a 25% target share with Travis Hunter walking the earth?
Travis Hunter, Mio O'Brien, what she was speaking about was like he needs to be looked at as a situational player. Like he's going to be in certain packages. He's not in the 12 personnel packages right now. So he's going to be placed in certain areas on the field where this play he's going to be relevant. Or there's going to be 1 week where like, hey, we need him on the corners because we're banged up in the secondary. So.
Okay. Like I don't know if you've done a lot of shows with Patrick before, Laquan, because making up a nickname, calling Trevor Lawrence mid is fighting hard.
But that's the thing. The outcomes have been mid. But I mean, Laquan was talking up like Malik Neighbors with hypothetical multiple quarterbacks. Right. So like I think like he's not. There's still confidence in BTJ with Trev because Laquan doesn't think too highly of Trevor Lawrence. I think the circumstances in Jacksonville have been more of an issue. Urban Meyer was running around,
kicking
kicking people,
having a good time.
Playing grab with people.
That was a red shirt year as far as I'm concerned.
That was a blur. That went sideways. The second edition Doug Peterson exclusively feeling like running mesh 27 times a game like that. I think Trevor Lawrence will be fine, but the future will dictate how people feel.
I'm a little worried. And Brian Thomas Jr. was my guy in the draft and fantasy last year too, and it all worked out amazing. I am a little worried about like the heights that he's being drafted among the best receivers in football when there are a couple issues. Okay, Travis Hunter might be situational for now. If by week 5 he might. It's not crazy to imagine him being the best receiver on the team.
Yeah.
I love what I've seen out of Trevor Lawrence so far in the preseason, by the way. I just think his mind is moving a little faster, so I'm buying in on Liam Cohen. And I don't like that. Like every single day I hear how Brian Thomas Jr. is dropping passes at practice. I'm not like panicked about it, but I'm just hearing about it. And then I see it in the preseason. It happened again. I'm just like, oh.
I mean, make of this what you will. His most productive games last year were with Mac Jones.
Hey,
I mean,
That's weird.
You can. I truly don't know what it means, but it is a fact that his most productive games were with Mac Jones.
Okay, so that gets to my pick and why I would take. I was thinking about taking Nico Collins last time around, and now I'm taking him here. And I'm just taking the guys that I love. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in the fantasy of it all, just like who's the best player. I just feel more confident that a Nico Collins at this point is a better football player than a Brian Thomas Jr. and maybe even a Malik Neighbors. I know that's not how fantasy works, but I've just seen it. To me, he is a top 5 dude, like as just at the position, and he's got CJ Stroud. I think the offense in general is just going to be a lot more competent. And if we're talking about like target shares and everything, it's a pretty steep drop from Nico Collins to either Christian Kirk or Dalton Schultz,
whoever's
is number 2.
Yeah.
Higgins, man, the clone, man, same.
But he's
There's no
guy.
question who
But-
the one is in Houston. Like,
Right, Higgins is his backup though. Like to me, Higgins is not draftable
Yeah.
in fantasy leagues because he literally is playing Nico Collins' position.
Yeah.
Like Xavier Hutchinson is going to get more snaps, I think, than Jaden Higgins at least to start the
The
year.
Iowa State guys there are just pure. They're like, okay, if Christian Kirk gets hurt, Jalen Newell, you're up.
Yeah.
Like, and if
Right,
Nico
but that's
gets
an
hurt,
easier path,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or just that like eventually he passes Kirk, whereas like no one's displaced.
No.
My
We
guy
just
Nico.
uncovered a deep sleeper, Jalen Noel. I mean, if he has that easy pass to be in that slot position, I think maybe he's worth a watch list ad.
Yeah, there's more clarity on down the roster, and I think that's why the Mechie trade was easy for Caserio and company to do, because the talent at wide receiver that they brought in kind of makes them super deep. And I got sniped by Greg.
Oh, good.
Because I thought it was a great
Sniper.
opportunity to take a really good wide receiver, one of the best. So I'm going to go back to the guy I almost picked last time, and I'm just going to add depth, and my flex is solved. I'll take Ashton Genty
Nice.
because I did see Pete kind of loading him up with carries over the course of preseason week 2. The explosive run where he crushed
Diamond Lenore agrees with you.
Yeah. He's probably going to have to watch that one for a while. Him welcoming in a player to the NFL on the other side of things. But they're going to be explosive. I saw Geno throw that first ball to Brock Bowers on the very first play, and
That's all we needed.
This is it. I'm in on the Raiders offense. It's going to be fun, and Genty's going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's right where he's slotted running back wise in this draft. We can talk about things a little more big picture. How do you, and we're going to get to these guys, but how do you view that sort of like tier break after, let's say, Henry and McCaffrey are like one level? Is Genty in that level with them, or do you have him further down maybe with the next group of guys?
So for me, I have Bijan, Saquon, and Gibbs as their own tier.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Genty in there with Henry, with CMC. I have Devon Achane in that group. Guys that I think could be the RB1 overall, but their paths are a little less clear than like a Gibbs or a Bijan, who obviously are going top 2.
Do you want to just take HN right now just to
No.
keep it going? Just for the conversation?
I legitimately thought that's what you were going to do in this.
Yeah. So I mean, I could.
I legitimately thought
he
you were
would
gonna
be the running back I would take.
Okay.
But there's a receiver that, using your Nico Collins logic,
Yes.
like I don't think he should be on the board at all here. And I think for fantasy and real life, he's better than some of the people that went. AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Like I think AJ Brown is super underrated. And last year, the Eagles had the run heaviest offense, not just in the league, like in years. And AJ Brown's full season pace was still 1,400 yards. Like it's just so funneled through him. And I think Philly has to throw the ball more this year.
Love that pick. I think he's so underrated for fantasy. Depends where you're looking. Like some places have him as like a top 8 to 10 wide receiver or even higher. Like we're taking him. And I think that makes sense. But we had on in the house, my son Walker, he's 10. He's entering like year 3 or 4 of fantasy, I think 4. And he's
deep in
very
the
into it now. So, not to pump up a competitor, but the ESPN fantasy guys, they do a good job with that live draft that they do on, and we're screaming at the television. I think they got into maybe the 4th round, definitely deep 3rd, and AJ Brown is still sitting there.
Wow.
And to me, I'm taking him in my draft very likely in the 2nd round. Like if I have a pick somewhere between like 14 and 20 or 16 and 22, like I'm taking.
I think he should be a first.
Yes.
I'll take him in round 2.
I think he should be where he was last year, which was like
Yeah.
a 1st, 2nd turn type of guy.
Well, and the thing you guys talk about with Saquon, I think one of the, I guess, mild concerns about him is that last year, no team threw the ball fewer times than the Eagles. And I am hard-pressed to think that happens again. And look, they're not going to suddenly turn around and start throwing it 40 times a game, but I do think you're going to see Jalen Hurts throw it a little bit more, and I think A.J. Brown becomes a beneficiary.
I do think, like, at a higher rate, like, you would want them to throw the ball more, but A.J. Brown has proven to be one of the most efficient wide receivers out there. Because when Jalen Hurts takes that deep ball, it's accurate, it's there, and it's going to A.J. Brown. So I do like, that when A.J. Brown slips, like, I may think, though, there's another wide receiver I may think of instead of A.J. Brown, and that's Drake London. Like, those two are, like, smack dab next to
Man,
him if you want
that's
to make that decision.
disrespectful.
Oh, my God. Just based on volume, we saw Michael Penix in those 3 games with Drake London. It was incredible yardage. And, like, even with Kirk Cousins in there, like, he kind of was capping Drake London's full potential. Like, you saw the yards per reception literally jump from 11 yards to 16
That's
to
fair.
17 heights. Like, that's where you're going to see Drake London get a lot more yards.
I love what Marcus said, too, about the Eagles' offense. I think if you read between the lines of this offseason, I think the idea is to throw the ball more. This is what we need to work on. It's what we've been working on all offseason. I think Devontae and AJ tamped down some of their personal, not selfishness, but like their desire for numbers and pass. And the organization is very aware of that. And I think they know they need to be a little more balanced. So I'm totally with you. I think they're going to throw the ball more. All right, let's do one more pick with Marcus, and then we'll take a quick break.
All right. We were talking about wide receivers, and I keep looking at the sheet, making sure that I'm not missing something. How's Amon-Ra St. Brown still here?
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown at this point. I guess there's concern because Ben Johnson's not there anymore. But Amon-Ra's still good, and he's still going to get a ton of targets. And I'm taking a cautioning people, by the way, in case people don't know. The offensive coordinator is John Morton, not to be confused with former USC and Detroit Lions wide receiver Johnny Morton. They are two very different people. Just in case you thought that the former receiver got into coaching, that is not the case.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, well, what's gonna happen with John Morton running the show and not Ben Johnson? Like, he knows who his good players are. Like, he's gonna figure out how to get the ball to Amon-Ra and to Jameer Gibbs. Like, we're not scared of taking Jameer Gibbs in the top 3
Who
picks,
is this
right?
Amon-Ra guy you talk about?
Right. So like, why are we gonna stop
podcaster?
worshiping the sun god in fantasy? Like, why are we doing this? So I really was surprised that he hung on this.
Also, Dan Campbell is an offensive-minded head coach.
Yeah.
He's been there since day one with them. And Jared Goff has as well. And like, that's where he wins.
It's the aesthetics. He doesn't get the credit as an offensive-minded head coach because he's too big and strong and talks about fighting kneecaps. Like, you have to have like a lab coat on with beakers.
You gotta, you wear
He has the
glasses
aesthetics of a D coordinator.
glasses and Jordans to practice. That's how you do it.
It is one of my favorite, like, dumb under the radar storylines this year is how annoyed Dan Campbell is in general of the narrative that they're going to be worse with Ben Johnson. Like, I think everyone with the Lions is just sick of hearing like, oh, Ben Johnson this, Ben Johnson that. And especially from the coaching staff side of things, you can kind of tell when you hear Dan Campbell talk that he's like, I'm here, bro. Like, this guy's gotten way too much credit. All right, let's take a quick break. We've gone around the table 3 times. I thought we might get like 50 players in today. That is definitely not happening. But we've gone 15 players deep. We'll keep going after this. Back on NFL Daily, our super producer, Eric Roberts, tells me he has the results of last year's fantasy draft. So it's a little delayed, but we are going to declare a champion now. Let's
Well,
see.
it's not the results, but it's the teams, and we could do some just kind of eyeballing
Well,
math
I know.
a little
Let's
bit, you know?
just let's see the graphic. And yes, everyone subscribe, watch on YouTube. You can see it as well. Team Marcus smartly led the way with Jane Daniels, had Jamar Chase in the mix. I like that team.
Yeah, but the Christian McCaffrey cancels it all
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I'm about to say
That might be a team killer. Let's go on to the next team. My team went
you
with
had
Josh
Saquon.
Allen, Saquon. Man, I took
I think that's the winner.
Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, and Dalton
a good
Kincaid. A
team.
couple of weak spots there, but that's looking good. Team Claybon, Lamar, John, Gibbs, Tyreek, Cup,
Whew, receivers.
Devontae, and Pitts. I think my
Oh, you
team's
got the
still
replacement
better.
on there.
Yeah.
And then finally, Team Florio.
I took Anthony Richardson.
Anthony
Wow.
Richardson,
Oh my
Brees
gosh.
Hall, Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not even going to read the rest of them because that team stinks.
The last four are good.
CD,
Amon Ra, CD, McBride, Harrison Jr. Not good. I'm going to
Richardson.
go ahead and do it. I'm declaring myself the champion.
I think that's fair,
That's
honestly.
fair.
I think
That's
that's fair.
legit.
Let's go. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in my actual league. Had Saquon lost in the first round with Saquon Barkley. Just means
Yeah.
It happens.
you weren't
First
doing a
round
good enough
exits.
job. All right, Laquan, you're up, and this is the 16th pick. And Patrick is ambitious. He says we can get through 50 still.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know about that, but I'm going with the guy that I spoke about before, Drake London. I have high expectations for him and this offense over there in Atlanta. And Zach Robinson wants to get this offense to be a little bit more going downfield aggressive. So those yards, those touchdowns are all going to increase this year, where I think that Drake London can definitely crack that top 5. He is one of my dark horses.
It's funny because I was saying him versus A.J. Brown. That's disrespectful. First of all, looking at the ADP, he literally is going ahead of A.J. Brown, so it's not a crazy take.
Shouldn't be,
Secondly,
in my opinion, but
I do think his numbers would have been on another planet, and he really is that dude. And unlike A.J. Brown, he won't have as much competition, I don't think, for reception. So that makes total sense. When I'm thinking about this draft, I'm thinking about, like, all right, who do I want to kind of plant some flags on to take higher than maybe ADP is? And Chase Brown is really high on that list for me. And so once again, it looks like I've sniped Patrick.
Load up the running backs.
He's everything you want out of a fantasy running back in terms of the offense, his ability to stay on the field, his ability to catch passes. He passes the eye test. He's gotten a little better each year of his career, and it just couldn't be a better situation for him.
Yeah, it's so useful, especially the passing game around the goal, because a lot of folks think, oh, you gotta have a sledgehammer to get touchdowns. No, like the way they utilize them in the red zone makes it even more clear.
I mean, you know who you're giving the ball in the goal line to, like in the biggest of spots. A lot of times it's the third down backs. It's the James Whites of the world breaking tackles.
Still should have a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. All right, you're up, Patrick. Then
I will get some positional value here and take Brock Bowers because he's the wide receiver one of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I get him at a tight end spot where I feel there's going to be a gulf, and I think there's going to be a gulf for years where Brock Bowers will be in a tier of his own, and I feel confident here, and I can get a wide receiver somewhere else.
I'm thinking that Brock Bowers might be a little inflated right now. There's going to be situational targets that we're going to be looking at last season where I think the identity of this Raiders offense is Achingenti. That's why we're seeing him not being used out wide in the last preseason game. He was strictly in the tight position as a tight end. So I think there's other passing options there as well that we may be sleeping on.
Yeah.
Jordan, Jack Besh, he's a physical wide receiver.
no, man,
No,
you
no,
lost
I'm
me
not-
here. I don't think he's playing.
I'm not doing that
Yeah.
yet.
They gave a lot of run to Jack
Yeah,
Besh
no.
last
They
game.
did, and they have one of the more aggressive quarterbacks in the NFL who makes a lot of downfield targets.
Big Gino.
And
Thornton.
Yeah.
Little sleepy speedster out there.
and I think right, Trey Tucker stretches the field.
He's
Of course,
another one that gets
of course, he gets a few targets. The most targets on this team, I feel very confident, are going to go to 89.
Yeah.
I was sold on Brock Bowers fantasy this year when Gino had the quote in training camp where he said, like, I just feel bad on the throws I don't throw it to Brock Bowers. Like, he literally says, like, I feel like I should throw it to him every single snap. I do think mid-second round for a tight end, maybe I'm just old school, but
That's what I don't like.
it's
with
just
Bowers.
hard
It's
for me.
expensive.
It's hard for me to get over that, which I shouldn't. I shouldn't be like that. I remember Kelsey was up there a couple years ago. And it's like, it never feels good to me.
every few years we cycle through that tight because it was Gronk for a while,
Yeah.
then it was Kelsey, and now Bowers. We sort of did it with Sam Laporta, but it wasn't quite as bad because he only had 1 year of.
You only got to
production.
play one, and so that's hard for me. When I maybe disagree, where I don't think it's a huge gap between him, McBride, and Kittle, but those guys all deserve
The
to
more
go in the top
flex spots
40 or
a
whatever.
league has, the more I think it makes sense. When you only need one, I'm like, but we don't have any rules here, so
we're
we're
living
just
in
taking
a
talent.
completely lawless society. We're trying to mirror the country as a whole. Florio, you're up.
I'll go with who I brought up last time. I'll go with Devon Achane, who is my RB4. As a rookie, he averaged almost 8 yards per carry, and then last year he had the most points as a receiver amongst all backs. And I don't think a whole lot changes for Miami. Like, I think they want Tua to get rid of the ball as quickly as possible, and that is dumping it off to Achane, and he's the only Dolphin I want this year.
Is there anyone else with me on kind of the anti-Achane brigade, at least for fantasy?
I was that guy last year. I'm coming around though. I feel
He got it done in the end, but
yeah.
My only worry is if things go bad and they fire Mike McDaniel in the midpoint of the year, like how much does that change things? Because that feels like it's very much on the table.
he seems to me like the flip side of what we were talking about with AJ Brown, whereas like I can't put him in this tier of players that are getting drafted around him as an actual player. And so I just feel better about the types of quarterbacks even that it would be taken here, the wide receivers. There's something about him I don't totally. He seems more of a fantasy football creation than reality. I mean, he's a very good player, but more like a 4th, 5th round running back to me that's getting pushed up a little bit because of the situation.
And it feels like a fantasy creation until he speed shifts to the slot, right?
Yeah.
And runs like a
Totally fair.
20-yard dig that we don't see running backs run. And like goes up.
What was that?
I think part of it is like you look at Genty, you look at Henry, you're like, yeah, these guys 300 touches easily.
Yeah.
Then you see Devon Achane, and it's like that. You play the same position, like
The team is weird, but for context, he's going as high as like RB7, average draft position, early 2nd round. So Florio actually, in that context, got a value here, and it's hardly a crazy pick. I think I'm on an island, just a little wary of him. Marcus, you're up.
Since we're not following rules
No,
or anything like that,
take who you like.
I'm taking Lamar Jackson here.
Ooh.
I want to take. Yeah, I knew that was gonna. I knew that was gonna.
I like all the good players. My team was gonna be so good.
I knew it was gonna sting Patrick's soul, is what that was gonna do. But I mean, I'm looking at the guys and like, look, I'm in a real fantasy draft. I'm probably not taking Lamar at this spot. But if we're just talking about like who's really good and who's gonna score you a lot of fantasy points, Lamar. I don't really know what it says, but other than Lamar Jackson is good at football.
he's all right.
And the gap, like he really has been an incredible fantasy advantage. It's not the old, yes, you can get good quarterbacks throughout the draft, but if you've owned Hurts and Lamar last year and Josh Allen, like those guys have been league winners. And tell me if you guys disagree. You guys are more in on the fantasy, but they've occupied an interesting space. Whereas I think if you just you didn't even have to take them early. You just took them where their like ADP was the last couple of years, and they were kind of like league winners for that. So overall, they've been a little undervalued, I would say, because there really has been a gap between those top guys and the rest of the quarterbacks.
No, I agree. And they're difference makers. When you got a guy that you could start and forget and they're putting up 25, 30 points every single week, I mean, hey, I'll spend that 3rd round on a Jaden Daniels or like Lamar Jackson. So I do think that we don't want to get into that realm where we want to inflate these guys like the Jaden Daniels of the world into that, 2nd round, 1st round tier. So I do feel like the value where they're at now, it's a little undervalued, but I feel a lot better in the 3rd and 4th round getting those guys.
Yeah, there's a pretty big difference between that. Like it sounds good that I'm just gonna wait and I'll take Tua and whatever. And suddenly it's like week 13 and you're like streaming back.
It never
and
sounds
you're
good
going
to take
against.
Tua.
I was about to say, start that sentence saying I'll take Tua. You're going south.
All right, you're up, Laquan.
So I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. Now, he's not the sexy pick, the most like, magical, great freak tier type of athlete. But no, he's a workhorse. Like, he was one of the 5 running backs last season that had 40% of their team touches. There's nobody back there that I believe is going to take away away those opportunities in the red zone. The Packers were a top 5 rushing attack. That goes under the radar. And I think Josh Jacobs, he's proven to us that he can put up those big numbers that we like with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley on Sundays. So I think, with Emmanuel Wilson, he's an electric change of pace back, but Marshawn Lloyd, he can't stay healthy. I mean, like his per injury per touch has to be insane greatly at this point.
Injury per touch.
Like seriously, like I'm like, man, we're rooting for the guy. Marcus, I know that's your guy, man, but
I mean, he went to SC for a year. I want the best for him. I want him to have success, but you can't get around the fact that he can't stay on the field. So.
Leads the league in injuries per touch. I mean,
did we just make a stat?
I think that the 21st pick too, just where we're at, we should be resetting every once in a while. Is totally fair value for Josh Jacobs, but you're right. I wouldn't be excited about it. I probably wouldn't do it because I guess I still like the level of receivers here more now than the running backs personally. Now that Chase Brown would kind of be the last of my like feels like they could be a first round value type of running back, and that's why I'm taking Ladd McConkey because I still think Ladd could be a first round type of value. I'm taking ceiling guys, and he's maybe the last of these guys that. Would it be that crazy if he was wide receiver 3 at the end of the year? I just
no, we have
I don't think so.
Wars on the podcast over Ladd McConkey.
Okay, then
This is
on different sides.
This
of
is
things?
the lad side of the table.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
about
about to say
Florio and Marcus
This
are
is
on
the lad side. Yeah.
I'm glad to be on the lad side.
Yeah, I'm off the ship because I
seems
think
like you're on an
gonna-
island over there, Laquan.
They're going to run the ball a ton. And this is the identity of the Chargers that they shown us last season. They want to pound the rock. I think that the passive volume comes down when you add in a Keenan Allen who's very familiar with Justin Herbert. Like, do we think Keenan Allen's just going to come in and be some slouch? No.
Yes, I do.
No way. I
do,
think Keenan Allen's coming
actually.
in. He's going to be a clear plug and play and a familiarity that Herbert will have. Like, I think the target share needs to be coming down in projections when it comes to Ladd and an already low pass volume offense. Like, they're going to want to run the rock and control the ball. That second half, they're going to run the out of that ball, man. And if it's going to be Hampton, Vidal, Najee, whenever he's back up, there's going to be times where Ladd is going to be like, oh, well, Ladd's out there. Is he getting the targets?
I hear that, and they're in a better position to do it now with Hampton, and I'm sure we'll get to him. And if we don't, we should. I mean, he's like such an exciting like fantasy option. But I was out, I was watching that preseason game, and I was thinking, man, I think he's still gonna have that share because it's a pretty steep drop to Quentin Johnston. And I like these two rookies they have. Keandre Lambert-Smith look pretty good.
Yeah.
Trey Harris is playing. It's like I don't know if they got Ladd, who if he's paying a little bit of a I got taken in the second round tax. If he was that 12th pick in the draft, I think we'd look at him a little more like just like Drake London because that's what he doesn't play like Drake London, but his production and his versatility and everything was first round level. And then I think you look at the rest of the team, and to me, it's a bunch of 3s and 4s, and he's like a 1. So actually, I do disagree with you there. I think it's a big drop off.
Yeah,
Alone on this island.
yeah. The Greg Roman offense isn't ever going to support a whole bunch of wide receivers, but there's the one.
Yeah.
and Ladd's the one.
Yes.
Like, it's clear as day.
I didn't I see like Keenan Allen's in the slot and Ladd's outside, and then they're switching him around. But I guess Keenan Allen has something to show me because he wasn't the same guy a year ago. But he'll come in and get like 500-600 yards. I wouldn't draft him. All right, Patrick, you're up.
Yeah, last year I destroyed my team by taking a bunch of aging wide receivers. I'm not going to do that now. You guys have allowed Drake London to get to me in this spot as a noted supporter of.
Oh no, he's gone.
Oh, wait, who took? Yeah,
Laquan took Drake.
Yeah,
Laquan
boy.
took Drake London.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. I was
Okay.
taking. You know, you want
That nice little preamble too.
Yeah, the preamble.
So good.
All right, take
Now you're gonna take like Devontae.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you could. They're aging
take
wide
everything
receivers.
I
are on-
said in the preamble and apply it to what I am doing here.
This
Because
happens in drafts over the weekend where the guy's in the back getting another drink and he misses. And he goes, "Oh, I want that guy." Like, no, this is normal activity that happens in these fantasy drafts.
I am a believer, and I will stick on this and have it, and we can run the audio when we do our fantasy draft, God willing, next year. Tyreek Hill. I will take Tyreek
Yes,
Hill.
I love
at
that
this,
pick.
at this point.
All right.
Still an exceedingly explosive receiver. I know that the idea that he's trying harder this year. I think he's going to be healthier this year. I think there was a reason for a little bit of the decline last year. I'm in.
I'm with you, and I would normally want to take those aging guys. I don't know about I don't know if the trying harder thing is a narrative when he says he's trying.
Yeah, no, he says it because it's a narrative. Like, he would like to put that out there that no, like I wasn't hurt. I'm indestructible, and it was just purely my effort. And now like Krillin has died, and I can go Super Saiyan. Trying extra hard is what makes things go.
Really got done dirty.
I'm not usually into the contract year thing of it all, but I think I'm going to make an exception for the Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill, knowing there's one big contract left in his career, is not a bad thing. And you're going back to the well, by the way. I like doing this. If you have kind of you took Tyreek last year, our producers let us know.
Yeah.
And I actually think it is good if you have one that did not live up to the value, take him again the next year. Like average cost value or whatever.
It's like a guy who fumbles, right? You get him back in there, give him the ball again, just to let him know you still
It
believe.
won't happen again.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's
Let him know
not
he
going to
still
happen again.
believes.
All right, Florio, you're up.
I'll go with so Brock Bowers win, but my tight end one in my rankings is Trey McBride. So
Ooh,
I
really?
will take Trey McBride,
That's
who actually averaged more points per game than Brock Bowers last year. He just missed a game due to, I believe it was concussions, and he was the most target share wise tight end in the red zone, and he had 2 touchdowns. Like, eventually that's got to become more like 6 to 8, right? Like, so I think if he has positive touchdown regression, he could 1, be the tight end 1, and 2, he could return wide receiver 1 value at a weaker position.
He was your tight end last year, by the way.
Yeah.
Good job by you there. We
Yeah.
made fun of your team. But
My
that
quarterback didn't work out, but
that was literally the best tight end value you could find.
That worked out for sure.
My only pushback is I think the touchdowns still remain low because Drew Petzing is the offensive coordinator going through his 3rd year, and it's like there's nothing that they did this offseason that showed they changed.
it just naturally can't stay at
the only
2.
thing that changed was Marvin Harris's bicep ratio.
They
Like that's all
tried
that
to
changed.
get McBride touchdowns. It just didn't work. They were throwing it to him in the red zone. It just, I don't know, it just didn't end in the painted area.
Thankfully, the Rams, linebackers weren't able to cover him, and he was able to find the end zone a couple times. So shout out to them, huh?
I by the way, well, just while we're on the Cardinals, because I don't think maybe Harrison goes here, but what do you guys think about Harrison? Because by the way, I see James Conner getting taken in the 5th. That's kind of like I'm not excited to take James Conner. To me, he is the perfect. I'm not excited to take guy. I like James Conner.
He's underrated.
I love it.
Late 4th, 5th round pick. What do you guys think about Harrison of this?
I think Harrison is a victim of our own hype, right? Like, he was a guy who was super hyped. He was the can't miss, he's going to crush in Arizona. And it was underwhelming, right? I mean, he had 8 touchdowns, which I keep looking at that. I'm like, when did I don't feel like he had 8 touchdowns. Like when did he have 8 touchdowns? But I just think because we were so hyped on Marvin Harrison and he didn't live up to that, now he's being punished in fantasy drafts because of that. And again, that doesn't do with him. Had everything to do with us and our hype train that we left him the station.
I do think he could be a lot better with a better quarterback as well. I just don't think Kyler is the quarterback to lift your prototypical X receiver. Outside of DeAndre Hopkins in 2020, he never really had like huge production out of a wide receiver role.
And he's going to like early 3rd round wide receiver, 16, 17. That feels about right. I don't have a hot.
Just not the one I'm usually not.
I don't have a hot take like plus or minus. That feels about right. I like that the value is a little lower. All right, Marcus, you still have not gone this.
I have not.
Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Not going Marvin Harrison Jr. I thought about maybe taking a certain guy to try to tweak Laquan, but I'm gonna go Jonathan Taylor instead.
Ooh, who is that guy you're trying to tweak?
You know who I'm about. You know who I was gonna pick. But Jonathan Taylor, because I think we all have these concerns about the Colts offense. I think Jonathan Taylor is sort of immune to that, because we know he's gonna get the carries. We know he's a guy that doesn't have a ton of competition in that backfield for touches and is gonna, when healthy, continue to be really, really productive. And so I feel like he is, he's kind of been collateral damage in all of the concerns that we have about this Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones battle and what it means for the offense. And so he's still a really talented player who's going to get a lot of volume. So I think I'm fine with him here.
He's old school. You're not going to get a lot of receptions, but he's going in the late 2nd round. So for that value, you did well. And yet I'm not super excited. I feel a little safer with some of the wide receivers that are still on the board.
I feel like
or even the quarterback.
That's the general feeling when we talk about the Colts in fantasy. Like I'm not excited.
He's very Josh Jacobsy, right? Like he's good where he's going, but he's not sexy. So you don't get fired up.
We have 1 round left here, and so you guys just take someone that you believe needs to be represented in this draft. Someone that you truly believe in, even if they wouldn't be like the safest pick here. Take who you want.
Now, Mark is on the last spot. I said scared money don't make money. I need to think of another saying for that because you said conman say that.
I just said the person who says scared money don't make money is running a 3-card Monty out in front of a Vegas casino, right?
That's not this, okay? Kenneth Walker needs to go.
Ooh.
This is a dark horse RB1. Like, I'm talking RB1 overall. Like, this guy was on pace last season. If he stayed healthy.
Charbonnet.
We want Charbonnet to eat,
Charbonnet.
but when Kenneth Walker is healthy on the field, Charbonnet's on the sidelines watching the magic. Now, honestly, the Seahawks these last 2 weeks in these preseason games have shown us they want to run the ball. At the highest rate, 59% of their plays were the leading of all teams in the preseason so far. So they want to run the rock. Kenneth Walker is electric in between the tackles outside. It doesn't matter. Get him in open space, and I think Click Kubiak getting that career high on the ground from Alvin Kamara last season, I think that translates over to Kenneth Walker.
Makes a lot of sense. And he doesn't fit the mold of like a Clint Kubiak kind of one cut and go. I still think of, Terrell Davis and Clint Kubiak's dad's offense with the Broncos. Like that's what that running back. And Ken Walker's kind of the opposite. But if they keep blowing open holes like they have been in the preseason, I mean, he's going to take a run 60 yards that Charbonnet might only take 25.
Add in a little stat here. 1.7 rushing yards before contact per rush. Right now, it's ranked third between the teams in the preseason right now. That means these guys are moving bodies and guys are getting clear lanes and being untouched. If that translates to anything into the regular season, oh boy, Charbonnet
wasn't who I thought you were going to take.
Walker were going to go.
Did you think he was going to take Amari and Hampton? Because that's what I'm taking.
I thought he was going to take a different rookie.
Okay, to me, Hampton's got that.
I don't want to inflate his ADP right now, man.
I mean,
what's going to hear this?
What are we doing?
RJ Harvey is the name.
RJ Harvey.
Oh yeah,
he's a big RJ Harvey.
That's
guy.
too much. That's too much.
See, look, great. That's good. Let's keep the ADP down.
I feel like Hampton, his floor is pretty high and the ceiling's sky high. I love my team. I love stacking Ladd and Hampton together. I know they say they're going to share the carries and all this stuff, and they probably will, but if we get to week 11, 12, and Hampton is obviously the most talented guy in that backfield, and it just wouldn't surprise me if he's more true workload Bijan Robinson type of guy as we get later in the season. He's not as talented. I don't think he's going to make people miss like that, but he's a load. He's great on passing downs. He should be great on the goal line.
He's Brock Lesnar.
I love him.
That's like my pro comp. He's Brock Lesnar. He's a freak out. Seeing Brock Lesnar doing shooting star press off the top rope, that's Amari and Hampton. Like, he's able to jump over folks, run through them. Like, that's really how I look at Hampton.
I love that.
My pick is running through a contract discussion right now. And I think that's fraudulent. I think the Commanders got a little cute with managing.
Pay the man.
Terry.
Pay the man.
They should have paid him before, but I think they thought they had a rookie quarterback and they weren't going to have to deal with that. None of that matters for the circumstances of fantasy. I think I love getting Terry in this spot, and he's going to be the wide receiver one. He's going to score touchdowns. He's got 12 last year for a rookie. I'm not charting regression on that.
So here's my theory, and it's not a fantasy theory, and I want to get your opinion on this, because I feel like if you are a team that has a decent track record of success and developing players, right, then maybe you can play a little bit more hardball. I feel like when you're the Commanders and you got your first little taste of success, like, it feels a little more disrespectful to be like, no, we have to roster build, we have to budget watch. Like, it feels like you finally got something and you've brought hope back to your fan base. Like, you got to keep that going right now.
Also, the drop off. I mean, they need him.
They do need him.
Debo's a nice role player to add. I don't think that's being disrespectful.
No, not at all.
He's not a traditional wide receiver. The next best traditional wide receiver on this team is
Michael Gallup?
No. Sorry. Not to be disrespectful.
But who? Like, no, that's the point, though. Like, who?
Noah
It's
Brown.
probably Noah Brown.
Yeah,
it's Noah Brown. And
Big jersey. Big jersey. I got to represent my guys.
all respect
Shout out
to
Noah.
Michael Gallup.
Flamed.
Let's go.
I feel bad about that one. Let's move on, Mike.
Get the photon cannon.
If we're picking anybody, I know who you're picking here.
Can Marcus announce it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Travion Henderson.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy this year. I have him as RB13, but I want to move him up even more. I've had him ahead of Hampton since before the NFL draft, but everyone else has Hampton, and I understand why, but I think Henderson was built in a lab to thrive in fantasy because he's shifty and he's explosive, so he's going to get a lot of big yard running plays, as we saw. He's an elite pass blocker, and he's a really good receiver, so he's going to be out there to get those PPR points on a team that's going to run the ball a lot. The only concern I have is goal line, but I think he's better than Stevenson. And, like, if Mike Vrabel agrees and Josh McDaniel agrees, I think Henderson's going to be an RB1 this year.
I mean, he's checking all the boxes. He passes.
I hate how good of a
test.
preseason he's having because it's
Put him in bubble wrap.
made him like
Get him
4
off the
rounds
field.
higher.
And Stevenson is hurt. Look, I don't think they could trade Stevenson. I just
Fumbling
there's no market, but it's not even crazy.
He's an old regime
It's
guy.
not crazy to imagine a world where Ramondre is not on this Patriots team. If I had to guess, I think he's on it, but I think that's like 75-25. It wouldn't shock me if Stevenson
So does
is not on
Gibson
this
come
team.
in plays like a late round stash guy if that's the case?
If that was the case,
Henderson to the
yes.
moon, baby.
Yeah, I love
We,
that.
we talk about people getting burned. I don't think anybody's been burned more than people getting burned by Gibson.
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point.
Oh yeah, no,
That-
no, that's a wrap.
He's a big dude, and it's funny because Ramondre did look pretty good last time he was with Josh McDaniels. So I think if he's on this team, he's going to have a role, but it doesn't really diminish my excitement about Travion. I think they can both eat,
Yeah.
and I think he'd be the more valuable guy. I'm with you, Marcus. Finish us up.
All right, so this is probably more of a flag plant than it is any like kind of search for value or anything like that.
Please.
But
Oh, can I guess?
please,
Is it a wide receiver?
it is.
Jameson Williams.
There it is.
Wow.
There it is.
Can you
I
tell
think-
we talk about
We
this
talk
for
about
weeks
these-
at
we
a
talk
time?
about these things a lot. Yeah, Jameson Williams. Last year he got over 1,000 yards for the first time. He really looked like he looked like the guy they thought they were drafting, right? Because remember, he pretty much missed almost the entirety of his first season. He was dealing with that knee injury. Then he had the suspension, so he missed time at the beginning of his second season. Last year, everything was sort of normal, and he had his first big year. My sriracha level take, my gochujang level take. I'm trying to, everybody's had sriracha. Let's go gochujang. Let's go. That
Oh,
level.
it's so much better.
It's so much better. Is that he leads the Lions in receiving yards this year. Maybe not catches. Yeah, that'll still be Amon-Ra. But because of their ability to do different things, to have him be the field stretcher, to have him be the guy that just gets out in space and has yards after the catch, I think he has a big yardage year this year. But I'm just really excited about Gregg. Like, I also wouldn't have done this on a real team because I don't think I'd want both Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams on the same fantasy roster. But this was just my way to sort of, stake the claim that I'm really excited about him this year.
I agree with all that. I love that. I do love Isaac TeSlaa though too.
Yeah.
Who I do wonder if he's going to get used in contract negotiations. If nothing else, this does not affect fantasy, but they can only pay so many people, and he's going to get a big time contract. But if they see TeSlaa kind of running down the field doing some of the same things as Jameson, maybe they just don't go big. But that's a real world.
Weird side note. Was it the Hall of Fame game? They did the little story about TeSlaa showing up at the Lions facility, like
Yeah.
wearing the custom jersey with his own. Like, is that like wearing the band's T-shirt to a concert?
I don't know if you put your name on the back of it.
But he had it since he was like in middle school though. That's pretty cool though.
One time, Iron Man 2 came out, and I went to see it, and we were coming home, and we went midnight release. It's like 2 a.m., NYPD pulls us over. They're like, where are you guys coming from? We were like, we went to see Iron Man. My friend in the front seat had an Iron Man shirt. The cop went, you wore that to see that movie? Have a good night, and just left us alone. So kind of, yeah, I would put that in the same context.
I think it's earned. I mean, the fact that he did that before he got the job with them, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it would be like
earnest.
meeting Axl Rose
Wearing a Guns N' Roses
with a
T-shirt.
Guns N' Roses T-shirt with your face on it.
The other part,
And you start singing.
You do. It is a little worrisome, like, because at that level, like, you're never actually going to be friends with. He'll never fully respect you as someone on his level, and so now maybe the Lions have lost like a little bit of respect for Isaac
TeSlaa.
He's like too much of a fan.
You know what? Slash sponsored one of the horses on the carousel at the LA Zoo.
I did not know that.
I learned this yesterday.
Wow.
This is how to end the show. I absolutely love that. Again, check out the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast with Marcus Grant, Mike F. Florio, Laquan Jones. Now you're on there almost every time, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
We're ramping up twice to 3 times
Forget
a week?
that GMFB stuff. Come hang out with us.
Yes, they do
Way more fun.
Great work. Subscribe, do all the things, and then watch Patrick and Florio and Marcus also on NFL Fantasy Live. It was a treat. Next year, we actually got to do Fantasy Week. We'll do 30 players a game
All right.
all day for like 5 days.
Wow.
Get through
Be worn
150.
out.
Give it to the people.
It might be a little too much. Yes, when we're going 5 across, when we're doing fantasy football, we are so freaking close. Football is back.